Welcome, folks, to the Squeaky Wheel. This is podcast number 7. This is the week of Stampede here in the open prairies of 300 days of sun a year, Calgary, Alberta. My name is Ross Memphis Pambrin, known as the Captain, and with me, as always, my co-host, my friend, the President, Lawrence Gervais. Lawrence, this is Stampede Week. Tell us about yourself.
Well, a little bit about myself in terms of Stampede. Well, I've been known to be maybe down there for at least 4 full days. That's how much I can handle at my age. I'm sure in my younger days I could do a lot more than that. But in terms of myself, one side of my family are all kind of rodeo people, the Villeneuve side, and chuck wagons and cowboys and all the whole 9 yards. And then on my dad's side, they're all musicians. So I'd watch, growing up, we'd spend all our Julys going to rodeos because my dad would play the dances in the evenings, and we would just sit there and watch all my cousins get hurt from day to day. And then, I'd be like, Mom, can I do this? And she was like, no. So it was never allowed for us to do it, but at least it was fun to watch my cousins break a leg and miss some teeth and all that stuff and get busted up, and then watch my dad play in the evenings, right, and run around the dance halls. So that was my childhood, and Calgary was on the list, right? So,
but this was, you guys were coming out of BC at that time, or? That's
right. Yeah, we grew up in Prince George, so we'd go out in July, end up in Saskatchewan early August, and then head back home, right? So back then we did my dad would have a flatbed truck, and we would put a mattress back there, and there was a canopy on there, and we would just travel around, right? And that was just how we did it in the 80s. You couldn't do that now, right? But
no, unfortunately, you can't do that now. But I remember our pickup truck, that was the same thing. There's just a mattress in the back. And I was pretty young. But as most people and our listeners, thank you everybody who subscribes to us at the Squeaky Wheel. Thanks to all of our listeners. Thank you for our community. We jumped right into the Stampede discussion, and we'll get back to a little bit of our format. But Lawrence and I do tend to bounce around, and I know because Lawrence and I talk quite a bit. But the same thing for when it came to traveling. But now you and I have been in Calgary for quite a while. My wife has never missed a parade. Now.
Really?
This year, she's still volunteered. She's still been down at the food trucks. She oversees one of the big committees down there, but it's been a bit of a challenge. But for me, because of ever since her role that she's been down there, I'm probably a good 8 out of 10 days down there. And I am tired at the end of it. And this is a unique experience that I'm not down there. Now, my band has still been playing. In fact, I was just playing the other night down south for something called Stampede. And it's just more of a community thing. And then I've got to play Friday. I've got to play Saturday. So I'm pretty lucky when it comes to that. Music is still engaging, but it's engaging in a very different way. And we're going to talk shortly when our guest comes on, Miss Doreen Bergum, and I know for her how important music is. And I look forward to our conversation with her because she is a Métis matriarch, and I hope she's okay that I use that term. And she's a proud, strong elder within the Métis community. And I know you've developed my relationship with her based on your role. So the Stampede, we're going to talk to her, and let's talk a little bit more about reimagining this. You and I somehow have some good experiences ourselves. We have some interesting experiences ourselves down at the Stampede. But I always look forward to this time because the spirit is still here. So give me some of your memories, and let's not get ourselves into too much trouble, but let's talk about a few of those.
Well, the one thing about Stampede is you can just go and do this thing, and then for a couple hours, and then go and do that thing, and then go home and redress yourself, and then go do those things for a couple hours. And sometimes you need that little break, and we always have that little walk, to your vehicle, and you're driving home and you're getting ready for what's going to happen that evening, tickets or whatever. So I think with us, running into the Prime Minister of all things. Heading towards the infield where, you got beautiful seats, and, going into the barns or you're just encompassing all over what it's supposed to be. And, you know, I'm really grateful and I'm thankful I have this job that I can get this access.
Well, it does open a lot of engagement. Now, folks, one thing I want to point out here is, yes, you are probably seeing a picture of Lawrence and I with the Prime Minister. Regardless of how you may decide your relationship is with political parties, this is our current Prime Minister. We're not looking too far back because Lawrence and I haven't been around that long. But the fact that I did actually meet somebody who is at that level, it was an interesting, it was a unique opportunity. And notwithstanding my own personal beliefs when it comes to, I am a strong Western boy out here. The people in the energy world see unique challenges, and the people who I'm good friends with in the academic world see a lot of unique challenges. So folks, just like the pandemic and your relationship with your federal government, we all see unique challenges. So I don't want to get too far into that. But yes, we have had a lot of great opportunities where we've enjoyed the Stampede.
I think Ross talks like he's a politician, you know, sometimes. So he's politically correct.
maybe that's just it. And maybe it's also because I'm worried that the email box is going to blow up or the social media for this squeaky wheel is going to blow up. Potentially just because of that picture. But yes, some of the other pictures that pop up on our podcast, thanks to Lawrence and our experience and our time with a lot of the office staff, like Nicole, for example, where when we end up down at the Stampede or with Kirk or when we see Joe, we're very lucky about the time that we get to share with everybody down at the Stampede.
That's right. And, you know, the city's a part of that and the industry, you know, and sometimes it's all about building those relationships. And, you know, sometimes you need access to actually do that. And, you know, I'm really grateful that they offer these things and, you know, I'm able to speak and meet these people.
Well, and with the support of TC Energy, this was the year that my Métis cabin was supposed to be installed in down at the Stampede that I was hoping to have up there. And we'll see it next year. I'm still developing this so that we can maybe see it within the framework of, say, Fort Calgary or other events. We just got to keep doing our job of protecting ourselves, protecting our community so that we can get through this. So we are hugging each other a little bit more, a little
and
quicker
we know
than
next year is going to be a big romp. I think for a lot of people, they're already looking to the future.
Yeah.
You know, 12 months from now, right? So
there's a fair bit of built up, pent up energy that we all want to share. And
as long as it's safely done, we're fine, right? So,
yes. Yeah. Yes. Thank you for that political answer of making sure that we all do this safely. So folks, just to run through, I know a lot of you have seen the squeaky wheel. And again, thank you to all of our subscribers, to anybody who goes to YouTube. And all you got to do is click that little box at the bottom that says subscribe. Our format, we usually talk a little bit about coffee, some current issues, Métis connections, and things that are happening with the community. And again, I already mentioned we're going to see Doreen Bergum on our show. How to connect with us and some of the things to expect in our future broadcasts. So today, Lawrence, their coffee's being brought to you and me. Oh, in my fancy NFR mug from Luke's Coffee. Now, Luke's has two places in Calgary. There's one in just over here close to Marda Loop, and then there's one in Bridgeland. And I think I picked up this roast down in Bridgeland. Beautiful little coffee place. And though you and I haven't met there, we do know people who live around there. We should meet down there because they have a lot of music. They have a beautiful record collection, and they're like a little community store, but yet they really still engage when it comes to the members of the community. So thank you to Luke's and continue to get stronger. The last week, to touch up on, thanks again to my father, Sergeant Major George Pamron, retired Sergeant Major, who came on our show. And we talked about the Métis Veterans Fund that's come out. And we also hit, and this is always, there's the topic should always be available. We did talk a little bit about his awareness of racism from his time in the military. And we don't try to skirt issues here, but we also remain very positive when it comes to our conversations. And I think, Lawrence, that's the reason you and I work together so well, is because we share those conversations.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, I was
and we share
very
them
happy
respectfully.
with Sergeant's, we're retired sergeant's spiel about racism and his experience. And it's always nice to see the generation before us and the experiences that they had, because ours may be a little bit different. And, you know, our young people, theirs may be a little bit different too. So I think it's all about, you know, identity and being Métis and one day identifying and going through the challenges there, right?
Yeah, of trying to understand it for yourself. And you have to look to those, to your family. You have to look to those community leaders. And again, you've been very strong and you're very passionate, and you've always been very strong too about all the history of your background. And I'm proud of you. And I know you're proud of your time that you spend in dance. I know the time that you spent in Vancouver, in the toughest areas of Vancouver, as you're supporting those community members, and how you support our community members here. No,
yeah, in terms of dance, though, and I don't think I mentioned last week, I went to the Alberta Ballet School graduation, and it was one of my only events I actually go to, and it was to give one of the grads a sash, and it was just nice to actually be back there and, you know, doing what I needed to do, and obviously ran into a few people that I've known in the past, and that was kind of unique seeing them there too. And so congratulations to Mackay White. He's going to do well. He's going to be dancing at Le Monde Dance in North Vancouver, and we wish him well. And this year, Métis Nation Region 3 was very proud to give him a little scholarship to help him through his summer training. What that looks like, we're not sure, but at least it gives him some type of training before he heads into pre-professional world. So at least it gives him something.
Well, and congratulations and a big shout out to him. And thank you for attending that. I'm hoping that we start to see a change in our future where we all get a chance to start sending more of those things. So, Lawrence, I think it's time for us to welcome our guest as she's coming into our conversation. Let's give her a second here, Doreen Bergum. No, fantastic. Well, thank you again for this part of our conversation. So we've been talking about reimagining the Stampede and reimagining the Stampede when it comes to Calgary. Our wonderful and exciting opportunity to have our special guest, who I would consider as a Métis matriarch and definitely a generous elder in our community, Miss Doreen Bergum. So Doreen, welcome to the Squeaky Wheel. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you very much. Well, I was born in Olds, raised in Sundre, in a family of 10, a good Métis family. And my involvement with the Stampede actually is through the Swains. They were related to the Dumonts, and they were chuck wagon drivers back in the day. And also my dad's brother, Louis Dumont, he was a cowboy, and there is, they say that he rode in the Calgary Stampede, but he died very young at 25 in 1933. So he was in the early days of the Stampede.
25 in 1933. Now, sorry, was he an outrider, or do you know?
Was
he was a bronc rider. Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's about as tough as it gets.
That's right. Yeah. Back then.
Yeah.
For sure. Yes, and then my great grandparents, Jean Baptiste and Catherine Van Ness or Anness or Annus, homesteaded on the land where the Saddle Dome is today. And so they were quite involved with the Stampede as well at that time.
Now, if you don't mind me asking, that was a bit of sort of a question that we continue to expound on sometimes, is the relationship between Métis settlements or homesteads and land, for example, where the Stampede is on currently. So you're saying it was the Baptiste family?
His name was Jean Baptiste.
And that was the land that their homestead was on.
Right. The original name was Annus, and then it went to Anness, and then finalized Van Ness.
Oh, okay.
My mother's my mother's grandparents.
Now I understand that. Now, when that area, I don't know if you know, but when that area got developed, where did they move the homestead to afterwards?
Actually, I believe they sold the land to Script at that time and went to Tail Creek.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Annis family has a connection to Crossfield at McPherson's Coulee, and I just wanted to know, you know about the McGillis Vanis or Annis or Anus connection to actually the fur trading that just happened north of Calgary.
Actually, I was there. I was at McPherson's Coulee on last Friday. In our Vanessa reunion from 1990, my cousin had written a story of McPherson Coulee, and my grandfather's oldest sister, Amelia, she homesteaded there with the Métis family, Victor Lawrence. And I was so amazed. They have a beautiful write-up on the settlers and on the Métis families. They do say Métis in the story. And from that view, you can see the coulee and the buffalo jump, and it's just a beautiful setting.
Yeah, from what I know, and I know because I walked into the Airdrie Public Library one day, and I seen a history book on Airdrie. So I started to sort of look through and see if I could find the word Métis, and they did. And they had a story about McPherson's Coulee and the trade that used to happen. And they used to trade the height of a gun with buffalo robes, and then they would give you the gun after you achieved that many robes, right? So and that was well documented by that sort of trade route there.
Yes, it's pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. But then I didn't know there was a connection to Stampede land just with that fur trading place until I met you. So when you brought up Baptiste Vanus and us, and our historian Darcy McHugh kind of let us know that there was a connection there, right? So
yes,
yeah,
for sure. Yeah, there's quite a story on Baptiste and S. It was written in, I believe, the Star Weekly in the 80s.
It was a tale about the Baptiste family. Oh, yeah. Okay. Now, I guess I have a question. This, of course, being Stampede Week, and under normal circumstances, I'm usually dressed in quite a shirt and blazer. So I did decide to support with my Western shirt, or one of my gig shirts, all of the different first responders who I support, the armed forces, the police, the fire, the EMS. Thank you to them all. Thank you to all of our nurses. Your relationship with Stampede, we're reimagining it. We're seeing that people still want to be engaged. We're seeing families who are going through the grounds in order to get donuts. They're going to the food trucks. We're seeing pancake breakfasts, and they're more of a drive-through pancake breakfast popping up around the city. Can you tell us, being from Olds and Sundry, at what point did your transition to coming to Calgary, how do you see the history of the Stampede in your relationship, and how do you see some of the responsibilities you may feel you have, because you're a proud leader within the Métis community as a matriarch and an elder? How do you see your engagement happening, and what are the challenges right now because of the pandemic? Now, there was a lot of questions there, but I guess the two of them being your history or relationship.
Yeah, my family's been going to the Calgary Stampede since I was about 5. And we used to camp. We used to camp at Princess Island Park by the zoo.
Really?
We used to tent down there. And I remember still going to the Calgary Stampede, and when it rained, I think our parents would give us 25 cents or something, and they would go into the infield, and we'd be out on the grounds. But we'd be barefoot in the mud and just running around and just really enjoying the stampede.
Now,
But,
what's your earliest parade you could remember?
oh, no, I can't remember the earliest parades.
It was a long time ago. Okay.
But my grandparents and our relatives used to go always to the Calgary Stampede. To this day, I still get tickets. In fact, I've got tickets for this year, which will carry on to next year and probably be a bigger and better stampede.
Well, when I remember, going around the parade route with Doreen, and that wasn't that long ago in the very, very hot weather, and you guys dancing the whole 6K or whatever it is to go around there constantly. And I used to think, wow, these people have energy.
That was probably about 15,000 steps.
Yeah.
If I remember. Yeah, Larry and I were square dancing with Four Directions and with Martha and Dale. And it was a lot of fun. It was you get so involved with the spirit of Stampede. And we definitely miss our Métis music at this time.
Yeah, I've missed, unfortunately, and I know that there are always people are talking about some of the things that we're hopefully going to try and do, but I do miss our little Métis mixer that we do up at the office, and the participation and the pancakes, and we're all going to get back to that. We are, keep our fingers crossed, keep doing the right things. We're going to do the work that's going to take us to get back there. Maybe tell us a little bit, Doreen, about how the impact is for your relationship as an elder with our community. What are you seeing? What are some of the challenges regarding? Do you just Zoom every day, or we all miss getting together for connection? Is there anything that is a big sort of challenge that you find?
Well, the biggest challenge that I miss is our spirit of our music and our dance and our laughter, getting together, because that's how we survived.
Yeah.
We were hiding in plain sight for 150 years, and our kinship had to be so close that we were protecting all families. And that was the biggest release, was the dancing and the music and the laughter. That's what brought us through, and that's what saved us. And I think that's going to save us again today.
Yeah. I do think that as we work towards the physical distancing, but respect the fact that when the allowance happens, if we continue to do our right protection, you're right. It's very difficult to do that by Zoom. Though the Métis Fest that they did this year was excellent and it engaged people. I do look forward to the chance of just being able to be closer to somebody listening to music. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think it's awesome that they're having the food vendors and having the spirit there of the Stampede.
Yeah, trying to keep the activity. And going back to when your family would camp down in Princess Island, for example, were you doing it with other Métis communities? Was there music happening at that time, or was it more, no, you were just camping? When did you're just camping?
Just camping.
And, I don't want this to be a delicate question, but at what point did you really start to embrace, Métis identity?
Myself, well, I was 55 years old before I could practice my jigging or do my jigging. And I tell the youth, we're all born with a gift.
Yeah.
And like out of 10 children, we each had a different gift, whether it was music or dance or writing, or all of us had a different gift, but mine was in my feet. And I could not dance anywhere until I was 55 years old when I joined Region 3. And my mother was a champion jigger up at Meadow Lake, Onion Lake area. And I could never enjoy my joy of dance.
Oh, interesting. And was that just because the opportunity or that engagement hadn't happened here, or because of how you wanted to share that? What was the limiting factor?
Actually, we always did it at home in private, of course, behind closed doors and closed curtains, and practice our culture. And I never did that because I was working in Calgary, downtown in the oil industry. I worked there for 26 years, and I could never be proud of who I was. For lack of, because every day when you go out, our parents taught us how to respect ourselves and how to handle ourselves. And my mother always said, she always said, you are good enough, and don't let anybody ever tell you that they are better than you are. And so eventually I did get over to the Region 3 office and got involved. And I haven't looked back.
Right.
Because my mother and father did all the crafts, leather and beading and all the crafts, and they basically taught us how to survive. With just the basics.
You have a very well known sister, Marilyn Dumont, poet and writer, and of course Bruce, who was the president in BC for quite a long time, and did very well there, and he. He does very well as a contractor in oil and gas. I see him every downtown at a few events every now and then. And then of course Leo, who always plays our events, and he always does his one-man show out of his garage, which is fantastic. Still entertaining everybody. But I mean, coming up in a family like the Dumonts, and I was kind of raised almost in the same way. Like, we never even spoke about being Métis, but we knew we were different. And we never waved the flag or wore the sash, or that just came later on in life. But we always knew we were, sort of children of Indigenous sort of nature, right? And I think it was just our way of knowing, and identity just came a little bit different. And that's for all Métis people. It just comes at different times, but we know our grounding. We know where we come from.
And I think that's when we have that conversation on our podcast with different guests, you're a very strong, again, you're proud. You make us more proud. And there's a comfort in seeing individuals such as yourself who share that spirit. And I think the message is getting easier, and I think it's getting easier to youth, that just accept who you are, and we're going to find that more people just accept who you are. And they're not going to not like you because of the color of your skin. They may not like you because of your personality, but they're not going to use that as a reason not to like you. So here, where we try to be pretty positive on our podcast, I think we see the strengths in our conversation with people, but also allow them to share that story, so that, because there are still people who are trying to have an understanding that, or their identity of suggesting, yes, I accept, I am Métis, and I'm proud of that, and I'm happy for them. And when that message comes from them, for them, I think they're going to find that acceptance is there waiting for them.
Well, this is why I like working with the youth, because it's so hard for them to come out and say that they are Métis.
Yeah.
It's a protection that they have to have. And I know every day when I went out, well, our parents taught us to present ourselves well and avoid any conflict or discriminating situations. I mean, a lot of them couldn't be avoided, but it's just like putting on a coat of armor. You are dressed to, not only to impress, but to show that you have confidence in who you are. But it's just like putting on a coat of armor to protect yourself against discrimination, because you don't know what you're going to run into that day.
Yeah.
Who you're going to run into. That will use it again.
Yeah. And I don't think we should have to run into that. I hope that we continue to work towards where we don't. For those people who sometimes do or see a challenge and are unsure, I do often remind people, listen, sticks and stones, just walk away, don't get involved, and keep moving on. And just because you never want things to get violent, and then don't engage that person again until they figure out a way to learn their lesson. But no. Well, thank you, Doreen. I think we did want to have, again, it's excellent to have a conversation with somebody who's as engaged in our community and has that representation as an elder, and that people turn to. And I think we need to continue, and hopefully all of the listeners out there, for those of you who are watching or those of you who are just listening, Doreen is always available for that conversation, and she's engaged. And I know Lawrence is the first person to always open dialogue with anybody who calls in or has a conversation. And I know that we talk about how you get involved in our weekly meetings to engage us, give us sort of the Métis religious support and the support within our conversation. So thank you for attending the Squeaky Wheel today.
Well, thank you very much.
Yes, thank you very much, Doreen. Well, hopefully we'll hug each other one day.
Oh, absolutely.
Boy, we were very fortunate. Lawrence, thank you again for inviting Doreen. Again, you tend to know everybody, but I think we need to make sure we continue that inviting definitely an elder, and so that we see things from our age. I know that's the reason we respect our elders. And by seeing her message and that she sees the necessity and we see the challenges that she experienced, I think that maybe you and I have made that leap a little earlier, but that allowance doesn't seem to have been there for Doreen to sort of choose to dance and stand out as a proud Métis, right? At their age, at their generation, it was a little harder to share that message or to get that message out.
Yeah. And, I think that message or that story aligns with a lot of our elders that are out there in our community. It's not an uncommon thing. Maybe the Métis people who were kind of untouched in like the northern regions, have a more of a knowledge to it. But when you grew up in an urban center, and you're that age, it's you really have to reclaim a lot of things and go on your journey. And Doreen, I think is a significant person, not only family wise, but also her experiences. And she's really good orator, and her prayers are on spot all the time, and she prepares them. She's very thoughtful on them, so it is kind of nice to have somebody like that who's a very calming, knowledgeable, a spiritual person around us.
And for us, or for me, well, for you and I, her priority of focus on music warms my heart, because your family came from a musical background. My family comes from a musical background, and we all need to make sure that when we get together, we continue to share that relationship. I think a lot of times, if we do it as a community and we also engage our youth saying, it's okay to come out with your guitar and not be great. It's okay, because at least you're putting that time into the experience, and you will get better. And I think that if we continue to have events and encourage people, and I know there's a wonderful picture of you and I standing on the stage singing a song before, it gives me strength because I get to share that time with my friends. So
yeah, growing up as an artist and growing up in the Métis community, there's always a place for us to perform. There's always a stage. So whatever that is, just be prepared to know once you enter the Métis community that there's always a stage here for you.
Yes, that's very important. And it's also important that we let everybody else know that when there isn't a Métis event going on, you don't have to be Métis to come along. Everybody's welcome. Everybody's invited to this event. And yeah, there might be jigging, and there might be a lot of fiddle playing, and there's going to be some good guitar playing. This is your opportunity to experience both that the Métis love and that Métis shared connection that happens through music. So that's something we should eventually do on the Métis Minutes, which, folks, if you haven't gone to connect yet with one of the Squeaky Wheels little side Métis Minutes, please make sure you hit on YouTube and look them up. Our last one was the Red River Cart, which is just a fantastic little conversation. Then you'll understand exactly where the Squeaky Wheel came from.
Yeah, and
so
talking
Lawrence,
about Métis kitchen parties, I think that's the category that all fits, right? And that's why we always have a stage, because of, I mean, your dad went through kitchen parties too, right? So he knows.
Right.
My dad too, all my uncles. So, and even my godfather was, put in the Saskatchewan Country Music Hall of Fame, Roy Sunra, and I share his middle name. But, music is always there, and there's always a kitchen party to play in every Saturday night.
Yeah, we're a strong community when it comes to ensuring that we bring music to the forefront. Now, Lawrence, so I would like to say thank you to our guests, Doreen Bergum. Thank you again, always to you. Folks, if you want to reach out to us, make sure you go to www.métis3.org. If you want to know more what's happening Alberta provincially, go to albertamétis.com. Make sure you email us. Based on the pictures you may have seen tonight, folks, try to make all your comments respectful. And if they're not respectful, send them directly to Lawrence. But I always enjoy all my experiences when it's with Lawrence. So these are all positive things. You can email us at tsw@métis3.org and make sure you subscribe to us. I know I mentioned that a lot, but it's really important that you let us know how you're feeling. Let us know some of the things you'd like to talk about. One of the things I'd like to hit on before we go is our rant. Now, Lawrence, I don't know if you got a chance to catch any of it, whether it was maybe because there wasn't much going on for Canada Day, but the Stampede was putting on fireworks. And this year they said, because we're a bit Stampede themed, as you can tell, that they were going to be high in the air this year. It didn't matter where you were in Calgary, and I'm sure even where you were, you'd be able to see them. Well, folks, I don't know if you went out there, but get closer, because they weren't high enough to capture the whole city, which I eagerly was anticipating them. And I was out there late at night. I think we were there for 10 or 11 o'clock to watch them. So it's my little rant. If anybody who's listening out there, try to shoot them just a little bit higher so that we're all going to see them.
Right. No, I mean, I just noticed my neighbors, waking up our dog, and that was pretty much it. So, yeah.
So that was your connection with the first fireworks going off.
Yes.
Though, then I could recommend, though the kids are pretty young for you, that you might want to look at. It's this coming Sunday is the only other day that they're shooting off the fireworks. So, folks, try to get out there for that. Now, any other thing you want to add to our usual rant, Lawrence?
No, I haven't had too much to rant about other than, the situations going down south of the border, which we all know what's happening down there. They're getting primed for an election, and they don't worry about distancing and blah, blah, blah. I'm just glad that we have, the level heads at our border just to make sure that we're safe and let them deal with what they need to deal with and get it over with.
And a shout out to all those people who work either in the border guard world and for that part of the Transportation and Protection Agency, because that's got to be challenging. Everybody wants to cross the border, and we're all realizing that at this time, maybe it's not safe, and let's try to get back to where it is safe. So thank you to Doreen, our guest. Thank you to Luke's, our roaster. Thank you to the traditional lands, their connection with Mother Earth. Thank you to the settlements. Thank you to our seniors, our elders. Thank you to our families. And thank you always to my co-host and my friend, the President, Lawrence Gervais. Thank you to everybody out there in Radio Land. Let's keep the fire burning. And I look forward to our next conversation, Lawrence. And I know that our guests do as well.